Hello, good morning, everyone. Welcome to this second short session that I've been recording with marketers around the world. Today, I have invited Maria del Mar Portilla, who I met a couple of years ago when I was working in Dubai. Thank you, Maria, for agreeing to this session today and for sharing your experience and knowledge. I've learned from my previous one, where I kind of did a bit of a spoiler and introduced the person with the whole kind of what they do and all that. And this time, I would rather let you introduce yourself and do that. So let me just share my screen now. There we go. Wait a second. How can I view full screen mode? There we go. So Maria del Mar is here, joining us from Dubai. Thank you, Maria, again. Off we go.
Thank you, Rodrigo. First of all, it's really nice that I had the chance to share a little bit of insights and a little bit of my experience with your students, because I remember when I was in that position, it was great to hear and learn about people who has already experience out there. So thank you all, and thank you so much for having me today. So let me brief you a little bit about myself. So the question is basically who I am. And let me give you a little bit of context about my education background and a little bit of the reasons what I'm here today. So if we go to the next slide, I am I'm a mix. I'm a mix of designer and I'm a marketeer as well. So what happened was that when I was doing my undergrad program, I was back in Mexico. I did a program in industrial design, which had a lot of as well graphic design and the whole creative context, and that gave me the tools and the skills of being a very creative person. But then I always had the curiosity to understand behaviors, understand why people do what they do. And for that reason, after a couple of years of working and realizing that that was my or one of my passions, I decided to pursue my master's in international marketing with management and international digital marketing. So that's a little bit of who I am. So that is probably I would say it's one of my USPs, because I have the combination of both worlds.
And
So
just to add to that, last week we had someone who was also like a combination. So we had someone who did I think it was like a food industry degree, right? And then they move into marketing. And here we can see a bit that a mix, right? Like marketers is not like someone who just did marketing all their lives, but they can come from like different like span of experiences, which is in your case. And it seems like it has, as you said, it has worked quite well, because it's your USP that you have like both backgrounds. So yeah, I think that's very, very interesting. Should I
so
change slides?
yes, please, Rodrigo, because what I want to explain now is that that mix of experience and skills I basically have applied into different industries, and as well I have experience in uh, digital marketing, public relations, social media, and graphic design. So that is a little bit of my the years I have that I've been working uh, as a marketeer, as a designer. I've been as well learn and apply all these things, but also into the next slide, I have been across different industries. So I've been into hospitality, F&B, events, and real estate. And what it's really interesting is that marketeers, we are I mean, we can fit into any industry. So I always share my experience with some other people, because sometimes I think there are like some paradigms where people tend to just work for one particular industry, which is fine. But as well, we have, I believe, that opportunity and the advantage of being able to move across different industries, because we have the knowledge, we know how to do it, but we can do it across different industries. So
Yeah. So it seems what you're saying is like many of the kind of marketing principles could be applied, right, to different contexts or industries, like, you're living proof that it's possible. Yeah.
that's
Should
right.
I?
Yes,
Okay.
let's go to the next slide, because all all those years of experience and those marketing principles and the experience across those industries led me to where I am today, which is in the hospitality industry as a marketing and communications manager. So, and I work for one particular hotel, which is in Dubai. And let me take you now to the next slide, because I want to share with you what I do.
Okay.
And what I do, I want to break a little bit the ice here, because I think that there's sometimes there's a misconception of what marketeers do. And I found this meme, which I think it's quite funny, but it really illustrates a little bit the paradigms that as marketeers we face every day. So how fancy it might look from the outside, but in reality, what we do is very analytical. It's a lot of research, a little bit, a lot of understanding. It really involves being quite updated on what's happening out there, so we can as well identify opportunities and translate into proper campaigns. So what I do to go now very specific to my current position, if we move to the next slide,
Okay.
um, it basically I wanted to simplify it, or just to had three different concepts of what I do. So as a marketing communications manager, first of all, I am the brand guardian. So as any other hotel, we belong to a big group. So in this case, it's Mövenpick Hotels, and Mövenpick Hotels as well. It's the family company is Accor Hotels. So as a brand guardian, my job is to ensure that all the guidelines are properly followed and implemented. So as marketeers and communications specialists, it is our job to ensure that there is consistency throughout all our communications, strategies, and campaigns. Also, I always explain that, or the way I see it is that the marketing and communications department in a hotel, it's a cross-functional department. I see it as the heart of the hotel, because we support different departments and different stakeholders. Like I'll go into detail in the next slide, but we are. This is how I see it. We are a very the core department that supports the rest. And finally, it's about global and regional campaigns, because uh, as I mentioned before, as a global company, we set specific guidelines, and hence we implement global campaigns. But at the same time, it's very important to focus on the region and the local market. So my job is as well to ensure that we translate the key objectives of the company or the brand into the local market. So if we go to the next slide, I wanted exactly to illustrate here how the marketing department is really the core and it's in the center of the hotel, because in my case, my team and we support the rooms division, the food and beverage division, the meeting and events division, and the spa as well. So we took care of the communications, the marketing strategies throughout the entire year for the different segments, the different markets, the different target audience, and the different key messages.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, for anyone who hasn't been to Dubai, I mean, Dubai, it's a place where there are like lots of hotels. Like, I guess like the competition for like rooms and meeting events is it's quite fierce, right? So I guess it's quite a challenging place to be doing it, but also good because it means that you really need to kind of produce material that that is interesting for your target audiences, and that it can differentiate from what other hotels are doing as well, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's a very good observation, Rodrigo, because I think that the right word to define the hospitality industry in this part of the world is that it's very dynamic and fast paced. And as you well mentioned, the competition is massive. We compete against, just to give you some key figures, we compete on a daily basis against over 600 hotels just based in Dubai. So that gives you a very good idea on how um, aggressive you have to be when it comes to your marketing plans, on the strategy that you deployed, and how you really need to find the right positioning and
Yeah.
the right USPs to compete and, of course, gain market share. So definitely, it's one of the most dynamic but exciting industries to be in.
Yes, I'm sure it is. Should I go to the next slide?
Yes, please.
Okay. How do I do it? Okay, good. Next one?
Yes.
Okay.
So, well, the question, so how do I do it? um, well, just to give you an overview on how things are done, because of course it's a little bit more complex, but I just wanted to simplify the message, is that as marketing and communications, we belong to the commercial team, and we coordinate with many other stakeholders and other many divisions like revenue, rooms, reservations, and not just from a hotel base, but as well as a management in a hotel. We also coordinate with the regional team in Dubai. So it's very complex because we do not only report to one person, we report to a couple of persons. So it's very important that we have a very clear commercial plan that, of course, is developed on a yearly basis. And that, of course, depends on key factors like business objectives, the forecast, and the word that we love, marketeers, which is budget. So all those factors are key when it comes to the next slide, because we consider many more, but of course those are the key to come up with a strategy. So once we define our strategy, we jump into well, the way we define the strategy, of course, is taking into account one of the things that for me it's the base and the start of everything, which is market research. And market research is something that we do on a daily basis, because these days we have so many tools that can help us understand what people are doing, how they're doing it, and what trends are happening around. And then we, of course, come up with the campaign idea, and then we launch, we execute the campaign. And of course, what matters the most is the results. So every campaign that we do, everyone is expecting the ROI. So my job as well is to ensure that those results are trackable, are measurable. So very important to define smart strategies, because it is really the right way to analyze and assess how successful it was. So
Can I ask a question from this
sure.
slide? So you mentioned you do like market research. Do you do like market research like in-house mainly, or do you also like do the like whole organization like shares you like, I don't know, like trends about like tourism and things like that, or how does it work?
So we have a combination of different sources for the market research. So like you mentioned, Rodrigo. So one of the sources is that because we are in a country that relies big time on tourism, we get a lot of intel and data from the government that help understanding the key source markets from a local and international perspective. Also, we work closely with the regional team. So the regional team, which is based in Dubai, a core regional team, which is as well part of the commercial team, as well on a regular basis, keeps sharing data with us in terms of as well the behaviors, the from context to context. And then the third layer, I would say, is our own research that probably is specific. It's more targeted because we're talking from a micro to a macro environment. So I think with those three layers, we're able to analyze and understand from a broader perspective and to understand better the market.
Great. And another thing that I wanted to ask you about this, sorry, I keep asking stuff, but I found it very interesting, is that you mentioned that results, it's what kind of probably your boss is interested, right? I mean, I imagine they trust you and they give you, yeah, this campaign, but what the results are and the ROI, as you said. How easy or how difficult do you find to allocate like ROI for each of the different activities that you do? Like because I imagine you do many things at the same time, and you mentioned like you want to have something that is traceable, that you can track and all that. In your industry and for the kind of things that you do, would you say like it's very easy or it's challenging, or because there is also like this kind of spillover effect as well among like different activities that are happening? I don't know, what's your view on that?
So I would say that well, it's half and half because it really depends as well on the channel you go to. So and the campaign and the different the components that it has. So I think, and I'm very happy that as well. In the past, probably like 3 years, the industry has shifted into digital marketing, and with the help of digital marketing, that is a job that gets simplified when it comes to the to tracking the results of a campaign. So that has shifted a little bit as well the conception of how important digital marketing is. And although, of course, as a marketeer, you do a marketing that has a mix of different channels, I tend to rely more on digital marketing because then we're able to track so many factors, not just the ROI, but a lot of as well behaviors, a lot of things that people are more likely to like, to say, or to do or to engage with, which as well give us an idea or an analysis of what to do next. So it's still sometimes a challenge because there are some channels that won't, even though they're digital, they are not yet sharing data. But when it comes to like key channels like social media and some display campaigns and Google Analytics, that helps as a marketeer a lot to come up with the results and, like you said, to present to the different stakeholders and to validate, of course, the campaign and the resources that you spend on that particular campaign.
Yeah. I think as you mentioned, like this shift to digital, it's going across industries, and a side effect is that you can pretty much track almost everything that happens on online, right? Because there are traces and cookies and things like that. Thank you. I move to the next one. Example. Should I move to the next one?
Yes, please.
Okay. There we go.
So yeah, so just to go into to illustrate a little bit further what I've shared in terms of my experience and my current role, I would definitely share probably what has been one of the most exciting projects that I've been involved with, and that's the opening of the Grand Plaza Mövenpick Media City, which is a five-star hotel in Dubai, and not just a five-star hotel, but the flagship for the brand. And for that, in particular, I was responsible of developing the whole opening plan from a marketing communications perspective. And it was a very exciting project because it was a very, very complete, if I would use that word, in terms of launching a 360 marketing and communications campaign. And I use the term TTL because as marketeers, we tend to use a lot of the ETL and the BTL. But also there is a strategy where you combine both of them and then you cover those channels. So what was really exciting in this case was that we, again, based on the previous conversation, to define the different objectives, the target audience, and the channels were key to launch this hotel. And if we move to the next slide, I'm sharing a little bit here what was in terms of communications, what were our goals and objectives, and awareness was one of them. Also, the positioning as a brand new hotel, but as well as a flagship, and as a hotel, as I mentioned before, it has many divisions that you need to highlight, promote, and market, which is the F&B, the spa, the meeting and events. So it was very important to establish the key communication goals to go out there with the media, with the target audience, etc. So these are just one of the key communications goals that we highlighted for this particular launch. And then the next slide, I basically talk about a little bit of the target audience, which is very important as a marketeer to define. So again, I always share with colleagues and with peers that I think, and it is really my opinion, that as a marketeer, that's the approach we should take. So our target audience comes first. We should be target audience driven. We need to understand what they do, how they are, and to understand as well what are their key attributes, so we speak the same language. So when we deliver the message, when we plan the campaign, we really talk to them and they listen to us. So it was very important for us to define our target audience as well, depending on the different division, because the way we target or we launch or we place, in this case, a product or a service for business travelers is completely different to expat residents. So for us, it was very important to understand the different attributes and hence develop and launch a campaign. And on the next slide, I illustrate a little bit the complexity of this 360 strategy and the different channels that we cover, from advertising to social media to content generation to collaterals, PR and communications, and the different activations that we had for consumer engagement. So this is the TTL campaign that I was describing before, but more into details on the different channels that we had when we launched the hotel almost 2 years ago. So we cover radio, we cover outdoor graphics, but then we had as well very targeted audience when it comes to social media, covering the different channels from SEO to display campaigns. So it was that's why when I share about this particular experience, I get very excited because it really had a little bit of everything, and the responsibility that was given to me was major, but luckily was really I mean, I've learned a lot because it was actually my first time in hospitality.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think I was able to deliver to the expectations, and yeah. So that's a little bit how it looks on a nice pie chart.
Very nice indeed. Very nice indeed. Should I move? Okay. Yes.
So
yes, I asked Maria as well if she could kind of provide, just with, like, as the previous guest, some general advice for like young marketeers that are looking probably to, after hearing all these kind of things, and are thinking about a career within hospitality or all the other industries in which you have been. I don't know if there's a next slide though. Is there a next slide? Yeah. Okay. Okay, perfect. There we go.
So I was really thinking when you said what advice would you like to give to students that are in probably like a position where you were a couple of years ago, and that really got me thinking. And I would pick three of them, which is the first one. It's digital and data, and that means that if I would probably like go back in time, I would probably try to learn more about digital marketing and analyzing data. And the best thing about that is that there are so many online trainings that are free and that are easy to access, that you can do as well at your own pace. You can just be a little bit more curious, try to understand what's behind it, because that will really give you a competitive advantage.
Do you have any that you have on top of your mind that you would kind of think they're kind of worth it and good?
Well, there are two that I think they are fabulous. One is the Fundamentals of Digital Marketing, that is it's from Google. So it's let's say it's a medium. It's in terms of length, it's a medium online training course, but it gives you the base of everything. And there are couple of others that are very focused on social media, and social media, not just of how you launch a campaign, but how you really learn how to track, to analyze the data. And those would be like the key ones to start with, and then probably that might trigger curiosity to do a little bit more. So that would be probably like my first advice. The second is as let's say, start gaining real experience. So doesn't matter if it's an internship or if it's an entry-level job, but start gaining experience. Don't be afraid to start somewhere. I think it's so important to complement all the skills and all the concepts or marketing principles that you're learning and then translate into real-time experience. And probably like the third one is, and that's probably because of times like we are in, really focus on transferable skills. So that's one of the things that I learned the most when I was doing my master's, and to really focus on transferable skills, because no matter where you go, you will take them with you. And that's probably one of the things that I, as a marketeer, I have. So I've been into different industries, I've been into different roles, but those transferable skills are probably one of my biggest assets. And those are literally the analytical skills, research skills, leadership, teamwork. Those, no matter where you are key skills that every employer would definitely see as an advantage.
Great, great, great advice. Very good. Oh, this is the end. Okay. Let me just stop sharing and go back to our little session here. Great. I think you provided some very valuable advice in terms of what can students do, right? And as you said, you were in that position maybe a few years ago when I had the opportunity to meet you in Dubai. Great. I mean, thank you for your time today, and I will share this with the students. Probably, if you don't mind, I will also like share your LinkedIn in case like they want to kind of reach out and ask some questions. But thank you again, Maria, for your time today. It was a very interesting session. And yeah, I hope to see you soon in either virtually or in my next visit to the UAE, which I'm hoping will be soon. Thank you again. Take care.
It was my pleasure.
All right, bye. Let me just